What's up, everybody? Back with another video from downtown Kyiv. Today I'm back on Maidan. As you can tell by the title, today marks the 6th anniversary of, the 6th month anniversary of the war in Ukraine. Technically, not quite, almost. Today is day 179. Unfortunately, I've got some things to do tomorrow on day 180, so I can't film. So I thought I'd come down today. Plus today's Sunday on the weekend, so there's a little more things going on. So it's the 6th month anniversary of the Russia invasion, not special military operation, invasion, and the war on Ukraine. Also here in a couple days is Ukraine's 31st Independence Day anniversary. And so a couple milestones. There's also another milestone. Unfortunately, in one of my other videos that I did prior to the Russian invasion, when I kind of did my assessment on how I thought Russia would do, I said that I didn't think we would ever see, Russian military armor in downtown Kyiv. So unfortunately, the unthinkable has happened. I'm on Maidan. If you guys watched my my old videos on Maidan, you know the main street that runs down the middle of Maidan is called Kyiv. And unfortunately, now for the first time, we have Russian armor in the middle of downtown on Kyiv Street. So I will spin around and show you some of the Russian armor. That's it. So it goes all the way down Kyiv from Maidan, all the way down almost to Bezarabka, at least down to the thru supermarket, and then it kind of cuts off. So I'm going to walk down through there and film some of it. Kind of wanted to give you a little context. Last year was the 30th anniversary of Ukraine's Independence Day. Huge military parade. I did a video. Please go back and watch that video. It's a pretty good video. Huge military parade, people everywhere. And you can imagine with safety, security this year and the war going on, they're not going to have this big parade. So what they've done is they've taken some of the destroyed equipment and they've put it down on Kyiv Street just to kind of show people. Previously, some of these pieces were up by St. Michael's Cathedral, up above Maidan, at the top of the hill. They've taken some of those pieces down here. They brought some other pieces down. So they do this, if you guys have been watching anything to do with the war, you see this big propaganda game. And military concept is called information operations. It's going on both sides. Russia does it, Ukraine does it. So I see this as they can't have the big Independence Day parade like they normally do, but they want to do something to kind of give the people a little bit of hope. So I see that they put this down here to give people remind you of what they're fighting, of a little bit of hope. So I think it was either CNBC or MSNBC did a report on this story yesterday and said that Kyiv is mocking Russia by doing this. I think that's completely irresponsible reporting, because did they talk to somebody in the Ukrainian government that said they were doing this as mocking? Or I also think maybe you got somebody sitting in the Kremlin reading and it's like, oh, you're mocking us, huh? Okay, we got something for you. And so for me, it almost seems like this provocation trying to poke Russia to attack. So completely irresponsible reporting by Western media, done in absolute disregard for those of us who lived here at our safety. So F you, Western media, get your shit together. Anyway, I'm gonna get down and walk down and let's go look at some of the trophies down here on Kyiv Street. Kyiv Street, I'm going to turn around and film some of this. I don't want to be down here too long. Unfortunately, this is kind of a target area. There's a lot of people, and so I'll spin around and show you guys some of this stuff here. Some of the big self-propelled howitzers here, you can see whatever hit it just absolutely ripped the turret into tiny little pieces. And same thing here, just a T-72. I believe it's a T-72. Not looking at the data plate, just judging by the reactive armor up on the top of the turret. And some of these don't actually look to be destroyed. I know, I forgot to show you, there's a sign as you come down here and it says that these were Russian military equipment destroyed by the armed forces of Ukraine and was abandoned by the Russian military. So I wonder if some of this stuff is still operational. Yeah, see, this engine's still intact. Okay, the T-72 is the main battle tank that's being used on the field by Russia. they've had to reach back into the inventory and deploy some of the old T-64s. I'm going to see if there's any out here. I'm going to look. T-64s were made back in the 1960s. They had some in the stockpile. They had to bring them out. It tells you how desperate they're getting. The T-64 armor can be pierced with a 50 cal bullet, 50 cal rifle. So spin around here. This is a T-80 main battle tank. The T-80s made their debut in the Georgian War, the Russia-Georgian War. These things came out and were given the name by the Russian soldiers of Kakashka, which means piece of shit, because these things were supposed to be the latest, greatest, and they were absolute failures on the battlefield. So they've redeployed the T-80, and as you can see, this piece of shit is now sitting in the middle of Kyiv Street. One of the self-propelled howitzers. I'm just taking this video because I want you to see the people standing next to it. Look how big the piece of equipment is. Here's the actual data plate. 152 howitzer. This was some type of radar, anti-radar equipment. Oh, it's a radio jammer. I wanted to show you what's behind here. The self-propelled multiple launch rocket system. I believe this is one of the GRADs, G-R-A-D, which means hail in Russian. They do is they fire these things up and they come down and rain down on top of the personnel equipment like hail. This is where they get the name GRAD. Another self-propelled howitzer. See on the side, somebody wrote for Kyiv. And a tank in the background with the turrets destroyed. I'm going to tell you a story here pretty shortly about the turrets. Look at this killer. Not all these have data plates. These are all the same models here. I believe they're the T-72s because of the reactive armor up on top of the turret. But some of these that are kind of tore apart, I don't know the specific models because they don't all have data plates on them. Hard to get this all in one, but this is a destroyed S-1 anti-aircraft missile system. This is a destroyed BMD-2 from one of the airborne units. This was one of the ones I had up on top of the hill by St. Michael's. Just wanted to show you this because there's a bunch of Russian clothing and stuff here. You see pieces of the helmet, pieces of jackets. All right, buddy, you've seen it all. Can you roll out the way? You can see on the far end there's even a boot on the front part of the hull. Down by the big Zoom supermarket. So this is the end of the display right here behind me. Told you there's a tank turret here. These things weigh several tons, quite a bit. I could tell that's off of a T-72 turret. Told you I had a story about the tank turrets. Spin around out of the sun here. So in the T-64, the T-72s, I'm pretty sure the T-80s. I don't know about the T-90s and the new T-14 Armadas, but in the three previous models, there was a fundamental flaw in the Russian design. So the gunners sit on top of all the ammunition storage, and so when a missile or something strikes, because back then the armor they couldn't anticipate like the javelins and the what's the other one, the in-laws, these modern weapons that can actually pierce these tank turrets. So when they pierce these turrets, it ignites or detonates and ignites all the ammunition storage in there, which actually sits underneath the gunner. So basically they're sitting on top of this powder keg. It's kind of like picture driving around in your car with 5-gallon cans of gasoline inside your car, and then something catches them on fire. That's pretty much what they're doing. In the main battle tank for the U.S., the M1, there is actually like an iron wall and a storage compartment behind the driver of the tank, so it actually separates them, unlike these designs. So you'll see in a lot of videos, you'll see these turrets, they'll hit and they'll explode and fly for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of feet, because it's almost like it's detonating a bomb inside this tank. It cooks the entire crew that's inside, and it blows the turret, you know, hundreds of feet away. It's absolutely insane. So a couple of the things I was going to tell you, this whole display out here, some of the reasons they're significant. One of the reasons was in some of the, so tomorrow technically is the 6th month of the war. Russia invaded on February 24th. Putin signed the order on February 18th for the invasion, despite lying to the rest of the world and saying they weren't going to invade. Captured Russian soldiers, some of the documents they found on captured Russian soldiers stated that the military campaign was supposed to be concluded by March 5th. And one of the things they planned on doing was holding a victory parade right here on Kyiv Street in downtown Kyiv. So they have this display here a couple days before Independence Day. It's kind of like a show of defiance, like 6 months on, we're still here, and we're having this display of your destroyed equipment where you were planning on having your military parade. So that's one of the big PR things, or I guess, I don't know what you call it. If you have something, not in order to influence the opposite side, but in order to like give your people something to rally behind, and you know, something a little bit of like a nationalistic bravado. So that's one of the reasons that they're having this out here. Like I said, last year they had a huge military parade. They can't do that this year because, number one, that's a huge target. Number two, they need that equipment on the front line. So they have this as close as they can get this year, close as it's going to get for the foreseeable future. Get in this crowd here. There's a bunch of unexploded missiles here, or pieces of them. I think the smaller ones are the Tochkas, and I think the bigger ones are maybe the Iskander missiles. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Like I said, I don't really want to be down here too long because I kind of do consider this a pretty big target area. Spin around one more time and show you how many people are down here. So, did this video for a couple reasons. Mark the 6-month anniversary of the war, to show you that life is kind of semi-returned to normal here in Kyiv, despite what other people say. Also, kind of to push back against some of the propaganda. Yesterday, I was online. I think it was on the Ben Shapiro page. There's a guy. He was an American, and you know, I'm pretty well versed. I can tell what accounts are bots and fake. But I could go back to this guy's account through years of his posts. So it was a real account, and he's pushing the Russian propaganda line out. Ukraine's almost completely destroyed. He said even CNN is reporting there's only a couple of cities left standing. That's complete BS. CNN is not reporting that. So I'm starting to see a trend of more and more Americans push this Russian propaganda line and take their side, and I don't really understand why. Something everybody needs to think about. If you're following what's going on in Ukraine, you see what's going on at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe with 6 reactors. Russia has had control of that power plant since, I think, March or April. And according to what they've said, they've emplaced explosive devices all 6 reactors, and now they're using it as a base to shell the surrounding areas because they know that Ukrainians can't fire back. Now they're threatening to cut the power to the power plant, which is pretty dangerous because that means the cooling ponds can no longer do their job, and the reactors will overheat and you have a meltdown just like you did in Chernobyl. Why does that matter? Number one, it's the largest nuclear power plant, so the meteorological data released by Ukraine 2 days ago show that the wind is drifting west right now, which means if that explodes, it's going to push all that fallout over into Europe. Any nuclear fallout that's intentionally caused by an intentional Russian detonation, that stuff that falls on NATO countries will be considered a provocation, and it will trigger Article 5 and put NATO in direct conflict with Russia. So I don't know what Russia's thinking. I don't know what's going to happen. It's pretty nerve-wracking. People are asking me, why don't you leave? I mean, if that nuclear power plant does blow up, it could be 4 to 5 times worse than Chernobyl. There's no place safe in Europe, and eventually the transatlantic trade winds are going to bring that stuff across the Atlantic to the U.S. also. So let's all hope and pray nothing happens. Right now, like I said, life's returning to normal. We're 6 months into what was supposed to be a 2-week-long campaign for Russia, and so hopefully the tide's turning. Hopefully the West keeps up its support, and yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say. So signing off from downtown Kyiv. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time.